Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we try to untangle the financial jungle. And today we're diving into IEH Corporation's latest quarterly report, a document that seems to be juggling both steady business and some interesting financial shifts. So let's see what those numbers are really telling us. Before we get into the nitty-gritty, if you love getting the real story behind these financial filings and want to stay ahead of the game, you know what to do, hit that subscribe button. And hey, we have a fantastic Discord community linked in the description below where we break down more of these reports and share insights. Alright, let's start by getting our bearings. IEH Corporation is a company that has been around since the 1940s. They design and make special connector parts called hyperboloid connectors. Think of them as super high-tech plugs and sockets that are super tough and reliable, especially for military and aerospace jobs. They also have a presence in commercial aerospace and space industries. Looking at their balance sheet at the end of December 2025, IEH had about $26 million in assets. That is what they own. They had significant current assets, which are things they can turn into cash quickly, like over $9 million in cash and over $7 million in inventory, meaning the materials and products they have on hand. On the other side of the coin, they had liabilities, or what they owe. Total liabilities were around $3.8 million. This means they have more assets than they owe, which is a good sign. Their stockholders' equity, which is basically what the owners have invested plus any retained earnings, was almost $22.2 million. So financially, the company looks solid on paper. Now let's talk about how much money they made. For the 3 months ending the 31st of December 2025, IEH brought in about $7.5 million in revenue. This is up from about $7.2 million in the same period in 2024. That is a nice bump of almost 4%. They mentioned this increase was thanks to more business in commercial aerospace and defense sectors. However, their space revenues took a hit, dropping by 58%, which they've blamed on shifting customer delivery schedules. For the 9 months ending the 31st of December 2025, their revenue was around $20.9 million. This is actually a decrease from over $21.6 million in the same period of 2024. So while the last quarter showed growth, the overall 9-month picture shows a slight dip. They're seeing less in defense contracts compared to last year, which is a significant portion of their business, but that is being partially offset by a strong comeback in commercial aerospace. This is where things get a little more complex. When we look at what it costs to make their products, for the 3 months ending the 31st of December 2025, it was about $6.5 million. That is a big jump from about $5.6 million in the same period of 2024. This increase of over 16% is quite significant. They're pointing to tariff charges on imports and rising gold prices as the main culprits. Gold is a key material in their connectors, so this makes sense. For the 9-month period, the cost of goods sold also increased from about $16.1 million in 2024 to over $17.1 million in 2025. Again, they're citing tariffs and gold prices. This higher cost of goods sold is eating into their profits. On the selling, general and administrative expenses side, for the 3 months ending the 31st of December 2025, it was about $1.55 million. This is a slight decrease from about $1.6 million in 2024. They attribute this small drop mainly to lower stock compensation expenses. However, for the 9-month period, these expenses went up from about $4.66 million in 2024 to $4.78 million in 2025. They've explained this increase by mentioning more people focused on international markets and higher legal fees related to an SEC matter. Because their costs for making products have gone up significantly, their operating income has taken a hit. For the 3 months ending the 31st of December 2025, they reported an operating loss of about $723,000. This is much worse than the operating loss of about $130,000 in the same period of 2024. It looks like they are not covering their operating costs with their sales in this quarter. For the 9 months ending the 31st of December 2025, the operating loss widened to about $1.58 million, compared to an operating income of about $376,000 in the same period of 2024. This trend of increasing costs outpacing revenue growth is a key concern. They are essentially losing money on their core business operations. This operating performance naturally flows down to their net income. For the 3 months ending the 31st of December 2025, IEH reported a net loss of about $660,000. That is a steep drop from a net loss of just over $61,000 in 2024. For the 9 months ending the 31st of December 2025, they posted a net loss of about $1.34 million. This is a sharp turn from the net income of over $577,000 they reported for the same period in 2024. Clearly, the company is not profitable in this period. Now let's look at how they are managing their cash, which is super important. For the 9 months ending the 31st of December 2025, their operating activities used about $1.41 million in cash. This is a big shift from the same period in 2024, when their operating activities provided over $3.11 million in cash. The main reasons for this big change are less cash being generated from sales and a significant increase in the amount of inventory they purchased. Basically, they are spending more cash to build up their stock of materials and products, and that stock isn't immediately turning into sales cash. In terms of investing activities, they spent about $487,000 on things like equipment for the 9 months ending the 31st of December 2025. This is more than the $213,000 they spent in the same period of 2024. They mention this increase is mainly due to buying more machinery for their facility in Allentown. This shows a commitment to improving their production capabilities. On the financing side, they actually brought in about $402,000 in cash for the 9 months ending the 31st of December 2025. This is a positive change from 2024 when they had no cash from financing. This inflow came from people exercising stock options and from a new equipment financing line of credit they took out. It is good, they're finding ways to bring in cash, but it also highlights they might be relying on debt and other financing measures given their operational losses. Speaking of financing, in August 2025, IA set up a revolving credit facility with a bank for up to $1 million. This is like a credit card for the company, giving them access to funds if needed. As of the 31st of December 2025, they had not borrowed any money from it. This provides a safety net. They also secured an equipment financing arrangement for $450,000 in September 2025 with a fixed interest rate. This is specifically to buy new tools for their production. By the end of December 2025, they had drawn about $245,000 from this facility. This kind of financing is usually a good way to get the equipment needed to grow the business. A really interesting number here is their backlog of orders. At the end of December 2025, their backlog was about $18.4 million. This is a significant jump from about $12.8 million at the end of December 2024. This suggests strong future sales potential, and they expect most of these orders to be fulfilled in the next 12 to 18 months. This is a positive sign for their upcoming performance. Now, for something a bit more serious, the report mentions a material weakness in their internal control over financial reporting. This means there are significant flaws in how they manage their financial information. Specifically, they point to issues with their information technology general controls, like how they manage system changes and who has access to their computer systems. These weaknesses, along with a lack of strong management review to catch potential errors, mean that their financial reporting might not be as reliable as it should be. They are actively working on fixing this, which is good, but it indicates a potential area of concern for investors. There is also a notable legal development. IEH Corporation was involved in an administrative proceeding with the SEC. It seems like the SEC was initially looking to suspend or revoke the registration of their securities. However, after a series of legal motions and filings, including EA's own motion for summary disposition, the SEC ultimately granted IA's motion and dismissed the administrative proceeding entirely in January 2026. This is a significant win for the company, as it removes a major legal cloud that was hanging over them. So, stepping back and looking at the whole picture for IEH Corporation, on one hand, they are seeing growth in key sectors like aerospace and defense. Their order backlog is strong, and they've secured some crucial financing for equipment. That's all positive. However, the rising costs of raw materials like gold and the impact of tariffs are clearly pressuring their profitability, leading to operating losses and net losses. The large increase in inventory spending while sales are not growing proportionally is also a point to watch closely. The identified material weakness in financial controls is also a red flag that needs diligent attention and resolution. The positive resolution of the SEC administrative proceeding is a major relief and should allow them to focus more on business operations. Ultimately, AA seems to be in a challenging but not dire situation. Their strong product niche is a significant asset. Their ability to navigate these rising costs and improve operational efficiency will be critical. The growing order backlog is a promising indicator for the near future, but they need to ensure that increased sales translate back into healthy profits. Alright, that is our breakdown of IEH Corporation's latest filing. What is your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments if this analysis was valuable. Hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out our Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.